Foles just led the Eagles to their first Super Bowl victory. Could he do the same for the Arizona Cardinals? Is it time for the Arizona basketball fans who are too old or complacent to stand the entire game to give up their season tickets and stay home? Should diapers and tampons be tax exempt? These stories and more next on the 520. Welcome to the 520. I'm Steve Nunez.
I'm Arty Mata IV. Thanks for joining us.
And today is Arty Mata Pay Up Day, baby. I told you Nick Foles would win the Super Bowl.
What was the wager?
Guess what? Cheeseburger, French fries, and I'm going to throw in a milkshake just because you were so wrong.
You can't alter the deal, Darth Vader.
Here's why. Nick Foles became the first Wildcats QB to win a Super Bowl. Now the MVP is also in a position to extend his career and make a lot more dinero in leading the Philadelphia Eagles to a 41-33 win over the New England Patriots. Foles passed for 373 yards, threw 3 touchdowns, and even caught one for a TD. It's a safe bet. Carson Wentz coming back, Foles is likely a goner. And Arty, looky here, Nick Foles in the Arizona Cardinals uniform, baby. Could the Cardinals be the best landing spot for the Arizona alum? He's looking like a Super Bowl champion already.
I'll tell you what, first off, he's going to be one of the more sought-after quarterbacks in the offseason. Do I think Arizona is his best landing spot?
Yes.
No, I do not think so.
Absolutely. Name one reason why he's not, though.
I can name 5. Primarily, he needs so many moving parts to be successful. One of them, he needs a route-running tight end. He needs a small-frame slot receiver. He also needs a decent running back.
Perfect fit for Arizona.
Arizona does not provide any of those things.
Steve Wilks, defensive coordinator, he's going to stay out of the way. Arizona's offensive coordinator is going to be right there. He's going to let Foles do what Carson Palmer did.
You're not realizing
sit in
how
the pocket
finite
with
his
a good
game
offensive line and just cherry pick his shots.
And see, that's the thing, is he doesn't have receivers that are capable of finding that grass. Larry Fitzgerald is one. He needs 4 of them. He might even need a tight end to pick up the slack that the offensive line doesn't take for him.
On the offensive side to come in and do something for Arizona. And you know what I think is even a better fit is the fact that after winning the Super Bowl, he has Tucson in a buzz right now, just raving over Nick Foles. I think the Arizona Cardinals would be dumb if they didn't bring him in, pay the $7 million salary that he's worth, bring him in and help sell some tickets. Guess what? They need to fill Glendale Stadium.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. He'd be better off in a lot of other spots. But after the big Super Bowl loss, Rob Gronkowski's Patriot tight end and former Wildcat dropped a bombshell when he said he was going to reflect on his future when asked if he's considering retirement. And I think this is a pretty notable story to begin with, post-Super Bowl II. Do we think he's going to go through with it?
Of course he's not going to retire. He was just talking as Gronk talks, not the most articulate person, but I mean, of course he's going to be pissed off after losing the Super Bowl. He's a world-class athlete. He's a world-class competitor. He was mad. And so when he faced the media, of course he said, I'm going to look, reflect, and consider what my future is going to be. He's not retiring. He's got a lot left in him.
And even if he goes up to Mr. Kraft's office, says, look, man, I don't see a future here in Boston. There's 31 other teams that are more than happy to replace their starter with Rob Gronkowski.
Gronk is staying at least a couple of years until he goes to the WWE.
Of course.
That's my prediction. All right, U of A football coach Coach Sumlin has put together his new coaching staff. There's no word on the final price tag yet, but we do know Sumlin is investing on building a pipeline that runs straight through Texas and SEC country. On the offensive end, Sumlin hired Noel Mazzoni as coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Clarence McKinney will coach the running backs. Joe Gilbert will coach the big fellas on the O-line. Taylor Mazzoni, outside receivers. Theron Ake will head up inside receivers, and Jeremy Springer will be the special teams coordinator.
And on the defensive side of the ball, Marcel Yates has been retained as the defensive coordinator. He'll also coach the linebackers. Demetrius Martin will coach the cornerbacks. John Rushing will coach the safeties. Iona Ugalele will coach the defensive line, and UA great Chuck Cecil has been retained as the senior defensive analyst.
Three coaches stand out in my mind. I'll start on the offensive side with Mazzoni. I think what a great hire. Him and Sumlin have coached together. They have history of coaching quarterbacks. Remember, Sumlin coached Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel a couple of years ago. Think about what they're going to be able to do with Khalil Tate and groom him to be a better passer in the pocket to complement his running and not the other way around.
And what I like, what stands out to me about Mazzoni is he has a history with wide receivers. They're not just going to focus on Khalil Tate's, read option reads, his footwork in the pocket. They're going to help. They're going to help these receivers learn how to find grass when he breaks out of the pocket. They're going to teach these receivers how to block for Khalil Tate if he decides to scramble. They're going to open up a whole outlet of offensive schemes and offensive plays for this kid. I like the hire.
I love the hire. Also on the defensive end, keeping Marcel Yates is huge because the players they have already bought into a system. He has, 9 freshmen coming back on that defense, coming back as sophomores. Man, they are going to be incredible. Bring back Desert Swarm under Marcel Yates.
Yeah, but so how is the University of Arizona going to pay for Sumlin and his staff? By lowering, not raising, lowering ticket prices. The entry-level price is dropping from $99 to $70. Economy-level tickets have been cut from $150 to $100. It's astonishing that the University of Arizona is going cheap while also spending $66 million to upgrade the football stadium. Zona Zoo built an indoor practice field and improve the aquatic center.
Look at those digs. Nice.
I agree.
Hey, if Arizona wants to keep up with the Joneses, that's exactly what needs to happen, okay? So we can start bringing in kids from the SEC, still away some recruits from Oregon's, UCLA's, and USC's. But you know what? Here's where that money is going to come from. And we've been talking about this. How are they going to pay for all this and pay for Sumlin's coaching staff? On the backs of the students.
Exactly.
That $100 student fee is going to come into play. And that's what's really paying for all of this.
I agree. That is terrible. But at the end of the day, the players are going to be proud to be a Wildcat.
They better win.
They better win. Coaches and players seeking a last hope to extend their careers were blindsided when Maricopa County Community College District announced it's getting rid of football at the end of this year. The 4 colleges include Phoenix, Scottsdale, Mesa, and Glendale. Administrators say financial issues are to blame, and cutting the programs could save up to $20 million. Bryce Fontana, a defensive lineman for the Scottsdale Choke, spoke with the 520 saying MCCD cutting the Maricopa football programs is tragic. Not only do these junior college football programs provide an opportunity for the players to fulfill their dreams of playing college football, but they also help these athletes get an education. End quote. He then goes on to say, I quote, football is the livelihood of these players and the MCCD is stripping it straight from their hands. The community really needs to come together and figure out a way to fix this, end quote.
Now, I understand why the Maricopa County District had to make this decision. Obviously, the money shortfall. But I don't blame them. I know a lot of coaches right now up in Maricopa County are blaming the district. I blame the state and state lawmakers. People should be looking at Ducey and the state lawmakers who continue to cut funding for these colleges. Now, Bryce has a great point. What a tragedy to end football for a lot of these players. Wouldn't you agree? A lot of these students may not even attend college if they didn't have an opportunity to extend their football career. So it's kind of a win-win situation. They get to play football, they get an education, some of them who may not have gotten an education.
And Steve, you're so frequently bringing up trimming the edges for the taxpayers, saving some money here and there, being so fiscally conservative. What's changed?
But this isn't about saving money for the taxpayer. This is saving money for colleges and giving people an opportunity for education. That's where I draw the line and flip the switch, because it's the state's fault. It's not, these kids should not be punished for this. The state should be ashamed that they're cutting these football programs, because what's going to happen is you're going to see a trickle-down cut, and you're going to see other programs or athletic programs start to get cut as an excuse for the state not funding these colleges. The money's there. Our tax dollars should be going to fund some of these opportunities for these kids. That's where I flipped the switch. So, not being a hypocrite, I'm being true to the little folk.
Agreed. That's very well said. I'd also like to bring up that this is going to go one of two ways for Pima College, for Pima Community College.
Correct.
It's either going to do very well because now these athletes can find a home just down the interstate in Pima, and they're going to see a surplus of Phoenix athletes. Or what's going to happen is they're going to get all these kids and they're going to have nobody to play. They don't have the resources. They don't have the funds to go play New Mexico military. They don't play a school in Colorado, a school in Texas.
And they were all good in their division. They played extremely well. They were very successful programs. Hey, look, district, if you want to look at a winning program, go to Yuma. Arizona Western has a great community. They involve the community. They keep their students home. They increase attendance or enrollment. And guess what? They're a viable, functioning college despite the cuts from the state.
And they run the ball 40 times a game. It's exemplary if you want to go see some of that.
See some good football, go to Yuma. I'm serious. The Wildcat Hoopsters dropped 4 spots to number 13 in this week's AP Top 25 poll after losing a heartbreaker to Washington 78-75 over the weekend. The Cats are back home at McHale where they'll take on UCLA on Thursday, followed by USC on Saturday. The Trojans are 1 game back of the Cats in second place. Arty, your Trojans there. And then a rematch with ASU next Thursday. But if Arizona's going to win at home, Arty, the fans cannot do this. Sit on their big, non-cheering butts. 520 says, if you can't stand and represent like the Zona Zoo, then give up your season tickets, and I'm afraid to say it, stay home. Right?
Yeah, I think this problem, it stems from administration putting such a focus on the boosters, such a focus on the boosters' friends, where none of those guys are 20 years old, so there's such a focus on them being active that they sort of bit off a little more than they could chew, and now we have a very solemn
Let's be
crowd.
honest, McHale Center is overrated. It's my biggest complaint. Why? Look what happened in Washington. Did you see the fans? Did they sit once during the game? Even Sean Miller said they were electric. And you know what? A couple of weeks ago, you know what Sean Miller was doing? They put out a little video at U of A. He was coaching Zona Zoo to cheer and stand and make up for the rest of the fans who sit down. What does that tell you?
It tells you that these guys don't know what they're doing. Well, at the least, to say the least.
Look, and I don't want to be too harsh because I know a lot of friends and all of that. I'm just tired of McHale Center being who's who of Tucson, people showing up. They're not following the game to the point where they're understanding the momentum shifts, okay? When I see players like Dusan Ristic shoot a 3, drain it, run down the court, and he starts prodding the fans to stand up, to shift the momentum, that says it all to me. In the 80s, everyone knew or pretended like they knew what they were doing when they were cheering. Now, McHale Center, sometimes it's like you can hear crickets in the stands, and it's no fun because if you stand, which I've gone to the games, and I've stood, people behind me, sit down, sit down. Are you kidding me?
It's too much. There might also just be a lack of marketing to these kids. And obviously not the students, but I mean, I know people my age that are just mere football fans, mere baseball fans. They could care less what's going on at McHale Center.
All right.
Maybe it's a lack of marketing to them.
Yeah. All right, lastly, it's not all about bad news. All right, Alonzo Trier and DeAndre Ayton are both on the short list for the John R. Wooden Award. Congrats, guys. Just have to say this. The 2 players, there's only 2 players on 3 teams that have 2 players on the John R. Wooden Award. Arizona's one of them. Providence and Villanova are the other 2. I have to say, Sean Miller, you got to step up when you have 2 of the best players in the country on one team. Arizona should be doing better and getting ready for the NCAA tournament. Well, FC Tucson is turning pro. City is finally getting a professional sports team. FC Tucson, which is our local soccer club owned by the Phoenix Rising, will join the USL's newly created West Coast Conference, Division III. USL is Division II, which then feeds players to the Major League Soccer, or MLS, which is Division I.
Aside from the Maricopa County cuts, I think Southern Arizona is sort of putting itself on the map for sports-wise. We just hired a nationally recognized coach. The program's up and coming. Every other sport is doing all right standing alone. I think we finally get to see some recognition for the sports scene.
When you look at Tucson, obviously we're a basketball town, U of A,
yeah.
you know, but when it comes to soccer, go to a park on Sunday and you'll see every city park filled with people playing soccer. Think about our Fort Lowell shootout, one of the best youth soccer tournaments in the country. And then every year, for the last couple of years, MLS preseason, a couple of those games have been played right where the FC Tucson plays at Keno Sports Complex. They sell out.
Of course.
And then our proximity to the border, are you kidding me? I guarantee you we're going to get a lot of people coming over here to watch what they call football. Not just soccer, football.
And as a Tucsonan, are we worried about the lack of infrastructure in that area? I mean, you go just down the road to Palo Verde, it's a little dingy.
Love the complex.
Little
and
dingy.
It's going to help Yuba County collect some of that money that we lost when we lost AAA and when we lost the Arizona Diamondbacks and Chicago White Sox to spring training. We still owe, as taxpayers, on that complex. But here's what I say. Move the facilities downtown, build a new stadium, bring people downtown, just like the Roadrunners. Look at how good the Roadrunners are doing with their fan base. A couple weeks ago, they had like 4,000 people on a Saturday night. When does that happen? Downtown.
I was going to say revamp Tucson High. That's way better than what I was going to say.
Nice try. I agree with you, but downtown would be better. All right, let's jump right into Do We Care? As you know, by now, we're not just a sports show. We like to sprinkle in a few community issues, break them down, and ask ourselves, do we care? Well, Tucson state lawmaker Daniel Hernandez proposed a bill that would exempt diapers and tampons from state sales taxes. Measure is designed to help lower income families save money.
At first, we have to put a stamp on the fact that it's finally showing that these young women, these young mothers of low-income families finally don't have to see their bodies as a burden in the eyes of the United States government.
Agree with you.
I enjoy it.
And it promotes better health care, better hygiene. And more importantly, I mean, these children have to have better diapers on. Let's just be honest. I mean, that is just horrible to see kids who don't have the right diapers on because their mothers are having to buy generic diapers. Then you go to the grocery store, you're pushing a cart that a child was in, and you see a little bit. You know what I'm going.
Of course.
I don't have to go there and paint that picture, but that's exactly why you have to wipe all that down when you go into a grocery store,
right? Of course. Thanks, Steve. It's been 7 months since the city of Tucson's half-cent sales tax went into effect to collect money to repair roads. Tens of millions have been collected, but not one road has been fixed. Do we care?
I am speechless. 7 months later, tens of millions collected. And they still don't know what road to fix? Are you kidding me? Roads are all over the place in Tucson that need to be fixed. Take your pick. Fix them. It doesn't need a meeting after meeting to decide which roads to fix. Come on, man.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just so disappointed that there's not a single action plan that has been verbalized. There's not a single short-term goal that's been said at some sort of council meeting.
Fix the roads.
Exactly.
Fix them. They all could be fixed.
So who are we waiting on? Are we waiting on a signature? Are we waiting on a construction company to get hired? What do we need from here?
All right, well, there's a new push to give undocumented immigrants legal driver's licenses. The aim is to ensure all drivers are properly tested, licensed, and insured. Do we care?
I care about this one just because I'm glad that the state is putting their citizens first. They want their citizens to be protected. They want everybody to be accounted for the safety of their citizens. I enjoy that concept.
And I think it's a great idea. Forget the fact that they're undocumented and therefore they don't deserve a driver's license. If you're a victim of a car crash, like I have been, and you get stuck with all the bills because the other driver who's undocumented is not insured, it's not rewarding me. It's punishing me for obeying the law.
Of course.
Sorry. Well, you've heard the phrase, oh, no, you didn't. Well, here at the 520, we're not afraid to tell it like it is with, oh, yes, we did. I'll get it started, Arty. Are the wheels falling off the Pac-12 network? Probably. The Bay Area News Group, a Pac-12 hotline newsletter, is reporting the network is cutting staff to cut costs to obviously save money. But are we surprised the Pac-12 is struggling financially? Not one bit. In my opinion, it's run by overpaid fat cats who don't know what the hell they're doing. And the incompetence all starts at the top with Commissioner Larry Scott. Long story short, when the network launched, it inked a deal with Time Warner, Comcast, Bright House, and Cox. But Scott has failed to reach a deal with DirecTV to expand nationally. Well, DirecTV refuses to play ball because the deal Scott is pitching would cost the satellite giant $18 million to reach 15 million subscribers, many of them outside of Pac-12 country. Yet, Larry Scott won't budge on the money. Now the Pac-12 is losing money, and the Conference of Champions and its players are losing out. While the big losers at the Pac-12 network continue to collect a big fat paycheck. Further says it all when the conference buries its top team and showcases Arizona at Washington at 8:30 on a Saturday night when the rest of the country is already asleep. No wonder the ratings suck, and so does Larry Scott. Fire him.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. And for me, everybody rejoice. We celebrated earlier the newest member to the Super Bowl MVP club, former Wildcat Nick Foles. Of course, the city of Tucson could never think of another worthy candidate. And then there's me, someone who just witnessed another system quarterback prevail while riding piggyback on some of the nation's best offensive weapons, play callers, and defensive players. You can't sit there, look me in the face, and tell me Nick Foles was Alshon Jeffrey in the back of the end zone making a complete route adjustment in order to complete a catch. You can't sit there and tell me Nick Foles was Corey Clement dashing 40+ yards in the open field on a halfback screen. And you cannot tell me Nick Foles was the one who authorized the double pass play call before the end of the half. That's just what went on the offensive side too. Some notable names could maybe be Nelson Aguilar or Corey Clement with their monumental catching percentage and rack yardage that set up a lot of those end zone plays. Or maybe Brandon Graham, who's responsible for the forced fumble that prevented Tom Brady from being Tom Brady in the final drive. Do not reward Nick Foles for simply not messing up. Last Sunday, we should reward those who are more deserving.
Unbelievable. I will look you in the face and I will say 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he caught one.
Yeah, 300 yards.
Thank you, Nick Foles.
Deserving of the rack yardage that those receivers maybe racked up.
Doesn't matter.
Zach Ertz in the middle splitting the cover.
Receivers can't get rack yards unless they get the ball, right? And he delivered.
Yeah, and Alshon Jeffrey catching it like this. Nick Foles.
That's his job.
Nick
Foles put it right in the biscuit. Put the ball right in the biscuit, baby.
Disagree.
That's the way it works.
Go back and watch it.
All right,
Go back and watch it.
Bottom line, you owe me a bet. And our goal is to tell it like it is because it's all about giving voice to opinions, even if you don't agree. I'm Steve Nunez.
And I'm Arty IV. Join us next week on the 520.